Welcome to Show Me Something Wrong,
where each episode one of us chooses a movie to watch that the other hasn't seen. The movie is often obscure, usually odd, and always wrong. I'm Dave.
And I'm Guy.
And today I've chosen the movie, and it's... Should I do the Japanese title? I guess
yeah.
So. Cho Akunin.
Uh-huh.
Also known as Villain. Uh-huh. Also known as Hypervillain.
Uh-huh.
From 2011, directed by Koji Shiraishi.
I feel like already this is going to be a long episode. For such a simple film, I feel like there's going to be a lot to cover.
A little bit. I don't have a huge amount of, behind-the-scenes information on this, but I do have a bit to talk about for this
But just
one.
the director himself, he's quite an interesting fella.
Oh, yeah. And I've got to say, this has been the most fun episode to prep for ever for me. I've had a fucking great time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks have just been so enjoyable for me.
For such a horrible movie.
Yeah, for such a
You've had a great time.
Terrific movie. So before we get into the film, I just wanted to talk about how we ended up doing this film. Mm-hmm. So when we did the anniversary mini, the Mouge Bouge.
Yes.
Remember that one a while back?
Yes.
We did the 1 year anniversary and we asked the listeners to send in suggestions.
Yes.
And we got a suggestion from listener Jake. And yeah, he recommended this film.
Okay.
Not only did he recommend this film, Jake also is the one that made the subtitles for this, the English subtitles. So I wanted to give his subtitle service a little plug. So he runs Jinji Minami Subs. He's got a Patreon as well.
Okay.
So definitely check that out.
How do you spell Jinji?
Jingi.
Right.
Minami Subs.
Okay.
Yeah. And Patreon, if you search for it on there, you can find him there. So it's patreon.com/Jinji Minami Subs. Check him out, because he did a bang-up job on this. He also gave me a whole lot of background information about the movie, which was great. And I also wanted to give a thanks to our mate Alex, who also kind of helped me fill in my Koji Shiraishi gaps.
Okay.
My film knowledge gaps of him.
Good old Alex.
And also, this is going to be a hard one to say, Björk Shandy.
Oh, a letterbox person.
Yeah. So, just spelt like Björk, the singer, Shandy.
Okay.
Also helped me with some of the research on this as well. I did a lot.
Gathered ourselves quite a little community, haven't we?
Got a little crew helping us out on this one. All right, so let's bang on right into Koji Shiraishi. That's a weird way to say this. Yeah. So he is obviously probably to the listeners of this, best known for his fake documentary films. And before we get into his work, I thought it'd be fun to talk about that genre, because I feel that's a genre that we both love.
Oh, yeah.
Like Japanese fake documentaries, horror documentaries specifically. So I wanted to ask you about, are there any in particular that jump out for you as especially great ones?
Yes, and it's one that we've spoken about before on the podcast.
It's probably the same one I want to talk about.
Which is the one I can never remember the name of.
I'm going to guess it's Psychic Vision Jiganrei from 1988.
Jiganrei. Yeah. That was one that completely caught me off guard, because I didn't know anything about it. I just stumbled across it. I think it may have even been on YouTube or something. Right. I was like, what's this? And I just watched it without knowing a single thing about it, and it absolutely floored me. So that was a real nice surprise. And then, of course, Noroi, which I'm sure you will get into, because that seems to be the poster boy of found footage, fake documentary movies from Japan.
Definitely. Which is by, of course, Shiraishi, and we'll definitely talk about that soon as well. But yeah, there's something. Even the shit ones, I just love the way Japan Japanese films do like fake documentary. There's something like the shitty titles, the kind of tacky music, the the freeze frames and zoom ins on grainy footage. Like even at its worst, it's still really fun to watch.
And Japan fucking churns them out as well. They're insane, the amount of crap. Fake documentary found footage films. Like people like go on about the Paranormal Activity films. They're like, oh, they're up to fucking whatever now. I wish they'd give it a rest. But the volume that Japan puts these out in is insane.
I'm going to talk about something that Shiraishi was involved in that's going to blow your mind in terms of the volume as well, of like how many there are. All right, so let's get into Koji Shiraishi himself. So he was born in Fukuoka. Okay. I've never been to Fukuoka. Have you been there? I've always wanted to go.
No, I've not actually.
Yeah,
I've heard ramen is good.
Yeah, that's kind of the first thing you hear about it, right? Yeah. But I hear it's an amazing place. I'd really like to go. And yeah, in high school, he made some films, shot on video. He went on to go to art school where he had the intention of becoming a filmmaker, but he ended up getting expelled from university, not for being a bad boy, but he just couldn't afford to pay his tuition, so he got booted out. But he continued to participate in like films that were being shot and other, film studies, society, stuff like that. And yeah, over the years, he built his way up, worked on some well-known productions. Probably the two most notable ones. So he worked on one of my favorite films, Japanese films of all time, Water Boys. From 2001, which I only watched for the first time recently. Right. Have you seen that film? Fuck, it's good. Brilliant. It's so fucking funny. Not the kind of film we'd ever cover on this podcast. It's like a feel-good summer movie, but great movie. He shot the behind-the-scenes making of for it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw it on my table.
No, I didn't.
I had the Blu-ray sitting there. It arrived today. I'm like, before the episode, I can watch the making of. It's not on the fucking Bluray. It's on the DVD, but not the fucking Blu-ray.
What?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that
that's a
bullshit?
Thing?
Oh, that pissed me off. Yeah,
but I've heard these stories. I mean, it's probably not just limited to Japan, but where they've got like an already made director to come in and shoot the making of for another movie.
Yeah, that reminds me of there's a Tsukamoto film that Miike shot the making of.
Right.
I can't remember what it is, but yeah, like that is a thing, right? Yeah, for sure.
And I've not actually looked that much into it, but I'm quite sure that Shozen Fukui made the making of for that movie Go by Isao Yukisada. I think it's a drug film. I've not watched it myself. And I read somewhere that Fukui Shoujin did the making of for this.
Really?
But I've not seen the film itself, let alone the making of, so I've not really looked too much into it.
One that I watched recently, do you know Kurosawa's film Dreams?
Not seen it.
So that film that he made, Dreams, Obayashi made the making of.
Right.
And it's a really good making of, and it's fucking trippy to watch, man, because that Kurosawa film, it features Martin Scorsese playing Vincent van Gogh. So it's got Scorsese, it's Obayashi filming Kurosawa, directing Martin Scorsese, and occasionally George Lucas shows up and he's like, "Oh, what are you guys filming here? What's going on?"
Oh, fuck.
Because he produced it.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, it's a really...
It's a bit of a mindfuck of a crew, isn't it?
But I really recommend that as a double bill. Dreams, Kurosawa's Dreams, and then followed up with the documentary.
Oh, okay.
It's really good. So he worked on Waterboys, and maybe more importantly, he worked on someone who always comes up on this pod, Sogo Ishii's August in the Water from 1995. He was a production supervisor on that. And this is important because Sogo Ishii, or what's his name these days? I can never remember.
Gakuryu Ishii.
Yeah, he changed his name for some reason.
Do that? That's a silly thing to
I'm
do,
sorry, he's Sogo Ishii to me.
Yeah, he's Sogo Ishii to everyone, yeah.
But yeah, this is important that he worked on this film because Ishii is his biggest filmmaking hero.
Right.
So yeah, he always comes up on this podcast, doesn't he? There's a lot of connections there.
I mean, Ishii Shogo, or Gakuryu, he's like, he is pretty much the king of punk cinema in Japan, at least, one who's made a substantial name for himself, and he's very well connected. So yeah, it makes sense that he does come up, and he is connected with a lot of other like punk directors or people involved in kind of indies or underground kind of fucked up stuff that we would normally cover on this podcast.
I just feel like every time we do any Japanese film, he always comes up. Like there's some connection.
Yeah.
It's like the Kevin Bacon thing, you know, the 8 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
8 degrees of Sogo Ishii. So during this time, he was working as a crew member on these other films. He started to make his own independent films.
Right.
One of his early films, I've not watched the whole thing, just bits and pieces. It's called Boryoku Ningen.
Right.
Violence Men is the seems to be what it's been translated to. So that's a film from 1997.
Right.
Co-directed by Akihiro Kasai. And this was inspired by Man Bites Dog. And already he's doing the fake documentary thing, even this early on with the first sort of thing that he's made. But yeah, so he makes a bunch of independent stuff, and then as the 2000s kick in, he starts to become a big ol' horror boy making horror films. So he starts making a lot of found footage, fake documentary videos, and one series that he gets involved with is Honto ni Ata Norio no Video.
Right.
Do you know that? So
I know there's like the Honto ni atta kwai hanashi, but it's like a take on that, or
your spin-off or something like that.
So that's what I was saying, how Japan churns out all of these, and they all have a very similar ring to them. It's like Honto ni Atta, so it's like the real cursed videos or the real life scary stories. So he did one of these series.
He did a bunch of films from that series. And I think even, I could be wrong, but I think the company that put out Katsik Blues in Japan, I think they've released all of those.
Oh, you know, I love those. They're so shit and cheap, but they're awesome.
When I visited their offices, they had, I think it was that series, they had all those DVDs there, and I kept going, oh, these look good. These look good, like trying to be like, can I have these? They didn't give me any, unfortunately. But there is a fucking endless supply of this series. There are literally hundreds of these of this series. So I was looking at it. It's been going for years, right? And the last volume is volume 100 from this year. And apparently I didn't know this. I thought they just came out on video for the most part. But they actually aired on cable TV.
Right.
And yes, some of them came out just on DVD, and some of them even came out in cinemas.
Wow.
So this series basically follows investigation teams who go on a search to uncover the truth behind, you know, cursed videos, ghost videos.
Love it.
So good.
And it's normally in some like abandoned building or in a shrine or something. There's always there's so many like things that pop up in every episode.
So that sort of video, that kind of informs where his career goes.
Right.
And that's basically becomes what he's best known for, but a kind of much better version of that, as we see a bit later. So in the 2000s still, he made his first kind of proper feature, just directing it himself. And that is a film you've definitely seen, because I was like, you gotta fucking see this film. Jurei the Uncanny. Remember Jurei?
Yes.
It was, I think, I just love that film. I watched it at the exact right, with the exact right frame of mind, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I just wanted a shitty J-horror.
Yes.
And that's exactly what it is.
I think, you were like, you gotta watch this. And you sent it to me and I watched it. I don't remember it.
Oh, neither do I.
But I'm literally, I just looked it up on Letterboxd. I logged it. I gave it 3 stars. I'm looking at the poster. I don't remember anything, but I watched it.
The main thing I remember is that it opens with girls doing a dance routine in front of the windows of a shop, which is just the most Japanese thing you could ever see. But yeah, it's a kind of post-Ju-on ghost film.
Brilliant.
Very cheap. Love it. Great stuff. And yeah, basically from this point on, he just fucking belts out movies. He is just regurgitating films, just endless. Like his work ethic is unbelievable. He makes so many films. But yeah, of course, he's he's best known for this fake documentary style. So you mentioned it before, Noroi, which is from 2005. That's early in his career, but that film is basically, as you said, the poster boy for this kind of fake documentary film. And it's a fucking masterpiece, film. It's a truly fucking great film.
Am I wrong? Did he also do Occult?
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that too.
Oh, okay, great, right.
So that's his other very famous...
That's another one that's really highly regarded, which I've not seen.
Oh my god. So in preparation for this episode, I had watched quite a lot of his stuff, but there was some gaps in what I'd seen. So Occult was the first thing that I watched a couple of weeks back. And fucking hell, it is one of the most like staggering film viewing experiences I think I've ever had.
Oh, you got me really hyped up right now.
I'm actually not sure if you'll like it.
Okay.
Because it's not always amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's really disturbing, really got under my skin, scared the fuck out of me. Great film. Occult is on another level. It's fucking crazy. It's a crazy fucking film, and it's so unpredictable. It starts out more like Noroi, like a you know, there's this weird tragedy, and you know, they're trying to investigate it, but then the path that it goes down is so fucking dark, and it actually stars the main guy from this movie that we're talking about today.
Oh, brilliant.
And he is, he is an incredible actor, and he is so disturbing in this film. But
he was very believable in the one we watched, what we're talking about today. Yeah.
And I don't want to ruin anything from Occult, but there's a certain point where the film changes and becomes a much crazier film. And I was like my fucking jaw was on the floor, like, watching it. And then the final kind of scene does something that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen ever in a movie. And I had to, when the film finished, I sat there and I'm like, did I hate this film or did I love it?
Right.
And I had to like process it for a good solid 10 minutes. And then I'm like, no, I loved it. I loved it. So I don't know.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
I'm fascinated to see what you think of it. So yeah, that one's from 2009, a little bit after Noroi, but they're the two best known.
But as you said, like, he's belting out all of these like found footage documentaries, which it's a thing you can only do when shooting these kinds of films, like unless you're fucking Takashi Miike or something. But these kind of found footage films, they don't require any sort of, you know, quality in terms of like, you know, the lighting or anything, or means or whatever. It's all just like, here, have a camera, hold this camera, something's going to jump out of you, and as long as you can like build the tension, build the scene, get some spooky shit in, you're able to churn them out pretty fast.
But I think what's special about him is that, well, Noroi is just beautifully made. Like, he goes out of his way to, like, when they have like the older looking footage, he makes sure it actually looks like properly old footage. And then Occult is, it's a fake documentary, but the quality of performances in it and the quality of the writing is on a whole other
I'm not
like,
I'm not bashing the quality of the script or anything,
but they can be made
in terms of like filming and everything. It's easy. It's an easy genre to do quickly.
However, one of his other very well-known fake documentary films, I would say, was perhaps not that easy to make. Have you heard of A Record of Sweet Murder?
It sounds vaguely familiar, but I probably haven't seen it.
This one's 2014, and it's very similar to Occult in a lot of its themes, but it's shot in South Korea. So the cast is half South Korean, and then half the cast is Japanese. It is all done in what appears to be a single take, and it looks quite amazing as well. And that's like, it feels like, okay, this is what he can do with a bigger budget, but still working in the same genre. So yeah, that one kind of blew my mind because it was on a totally different level.
Yeah, I've not seen this one.
I think you would love that film. That's pretty amazing.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to talk about from his fake documentary work, and I think this is the thing that has kind of got everyone talking about him recently, because I think these films have sort of made their way to a Western audience recently. So he has made this amazing series of films that has been going since 2012, and you are gonna fucking love these films so much.
Right.
They're amazing. So they're called Senritsu Kaiki File Kawasugi.
Oh,
do you know these?
You know what? I've not seen any of these, but I logged onto Letterboxd the other day. I saw that you had logged them.
Yeah, I've been watching them.
I didn't read them. I didn't read any of the reviews, but I saw that they've been popping up.
Yeah.
And then I was on Instagram, and someone posted a few screenshots from one of them. And I saw the screenshot. I was like, what the fuck is this? This looks insane. Yeah. Saw the caption, linked it back to your reviews. I was like, yeah, I need to watch this entire series because this is great.
Oh, man. It's incredible. So, yeah, the title, I guess, kind of translates to like horror mystery file or something like that. Yeah, people, like Alex was hyping this up for me, and I'm like, how good can this be? It's just like a found footage. I'm going to enjoy it, but he's like, no, it's amazing. And it truly is. So it follows the same characters through the series, and each episode or each movie focuses on a different like Japanese legend or spooky kind of ghost. So, for example, the first film is about the split-mouthed woman.
Oh, yeah.
Which actually, Shiraishi also made that Carved movie, that kind of cheesy J-horror version. But what makes this series amazing, and which I didn't know until getting into the next few episodes, it follows the same characters, and the lead guy is one of the most fucking insane lead characters I've seen. He's like this violent lunatic.
Right.
And at first you're like, who is this guy? Like, what's his problem? But then it slowly, with each movie, reveals more and more about him.
Wow.
And then the show kind of starts to, each episode kind of connects together. Sorry, I keep saying show because it feels like a series rather than movies.
Sure.
But the lead actor is Shigeo Osako, who's the lead from Grotesque. You know, that really violent Shiraishi movie. But the detail in this universe that he's created is incredible, staggering.
And so it's been going since 2012.
2012, and there's a new one that's just come out.
What episode are we up to now?
I'm not sure. I haven't counted them up, but they sort of stopped numbering them after a while.
Oh, Christ.
But it's not only these films. He also has like spin-off short films. So after you watch a movie, there's like a little spin-off, and it'll give you like extra information, and you're like, what has this got to do with anything? And then in the fourth movie, it's kind of revealed what that short film meant. So it's kind of like Marvel Universe levels of detail in the way it's connected, but way, way better, obviously. And each story has just gotten better and better. So I'm only 4 films in, and the last one was about Hanako.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the toilet ghost. Yeah. But every single one, like, you're like, oh, it's just about the toilet ghost. Sure. This is where... And it starts kind of normal, but then every one just goes nuts.
Right.
So the Hanako one starts to turn into a time travel story. And it's just amazing. It's incredible.
But each episode is based on an urban legend.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
So number 3 I wanted to tell you about a little bit as well. So the third file is about Kappas.
Oh,
it's got a Kappa monster in it. But your mate is in it. Yuya Ishikawa.
Oh, Ishikawa.
Who he came along to a Sound of Summer screening.
He
right?
did. Yeah, you know what? I can't remember the first time I met him. The first time I met him was in Shosa Fukui's bar, actually, and I had food poisoning at that time. I was in a bit of a bad state, but I had to just pop in and say, hey. I had a very, very mild case. An upset tummy is probably the better way to say.
You weren't gushing diarrhea everywhere.
No, but I wasn't drinking. And I told Shozin, and I was actually meeting Nozomi Tachi, the Loud crew, there as well. And
love and reference to people that no one will know.
Anyway, so I was meeting Nozomi Tachi, and I was like, I'll pop in and out, and walked in, and Yuya Ishikawa was in there. I was like, oh, fucking hell. Of course, you know, he's been in countless Noboru Iguchi movies, The Machine Girl. You know, he kind of was big in that J splatter genre, but before that he was quite heavily involved in the pink genre. I know him probably best from Shosa Fukui's movie S94, of course. But yeah, he turned up in Osaka for a Sound of Summer screening, and which I saw him. He was coming in, and I was like, "Oh, fucking hell, hello." May I help you? Why are you? And he was, it looks interesting. I thought I'd give it a watch. I was kind of like looking around during the screen and see if he hadn't left yet. And nice guy, very nice guy. I like him. He's a good dude. He's got a bar. He runs a bar in Golden Gai in Tokyo.
Oh,
yeah, called Darling. Yeah,
maybe next time. Might have to hit up Darling.
Drop in old Darling. See old Yuya. So he's in this episode 3.
He's in the 3rd film, and at one point he says he wants to beat the shit out of a kappa. So that's pretty exciting.
I would love to see that. Love to see that.
The 3rd film is the one where it's like, oh, okay, this is fucking genius. This is where it's like taking form, and it starts going to really wild places. So... man, check those out.
Beat the shit out of a kappa.
I actually... Oh, sorry, go on. Yeah.
This is where I can right one of my previous wrongs on this podcast. We were talking about kappas
I was thinking
once,
about that, watching that.
And I don't know why you were like, kappa, it's like a turtle, right? I was like, it's like a frog or something. I think I said without really even thinking. And then I was listening to the episode. I was like, why the fuck did I say a kappa was a frog?
But when you said it, I'm like, oh, he's very certain about it.
I know.
He must be right.
I don't know why. Because it's clearly a turtle. So wait, what episode was that on?
I think that was Haunted Turkish Bathhouse, because we're talking about yokai.
Yeah. I have no idea why I decided to. I may have even corrected you on that. Like it's completely wrong information. But I don't know why. I listened to the episode after. I was like, what the fuck did I say that? Kappa's not a frog. Anyway,
you should have doubled down on it today and just be like, no, it's a fucking frog.
All right,
we're gonna rewrite history.
Scrap what I just said.
Yeah.
You think you know kappas? No,
it's a fucking
they're
frog.
Fucking frogs.
You're wrong.
They just pretend to be turtles because they're mischievous little cunts.
Exactly.
And
right.
Yuya Ishikawa beats the shit out of one of them.
Well, you have to watch it to find out.
Does he beat him with his own cucumber?
There's a lot of cucumbers in that episode. Oh boy. But yeah, I actually, that series, I'm starting to think we should do a little mini on it, because it's not quite pod, like single episode worthy, but it'd be great to talk about it, especially because now everyone's getting really into this series.
Okay.
And you'll just love it. You're gonna love the shit out of it. Alright, so sorry, back to Koji Shiraishi. So he's not only a guy that makes found footage or fake documentary films, he's also made some very fucking mainstream commercial films. So he made Sadako versus Kayoko.
Oh no!
From 2016. I love that shit. So
I need to check how many stars I rated that one.
It's an objectively stupid movie, but I did enjoy it a lot. So it's basically Ringu versus Juon, which is...
I think... I didn't actually log this one. I swear I've seen it, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I just thought it looked too shit to watch.
I thoroughly enjoyed it for what it was.
But was it like, this is trash and I enjoy trash?
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas the original Grudge films are not trash.
No, they're great films.
Ring as well. Like, they were good films. They just went into a horrendous direction.
That said, though, I feel almost a bit worried saying this, but I rewatched Ringu very recently, just the other night, and I watched the Arrow Blu-ray.
Right.
And it was a weird experience, because I love that film so fucking much. Like, it's a really important film for me. But watching it again, I was like, this doesn't feel like the film that I remember. Mm-hmm. And you know what I think it was? I think the Blu-ray is too good, because it looks like really warm and clean. And when I used to watch it, it was on this crappy DVD where everything was super blue and dark. And then I went and looked at like a comparison of the shots, and it's like a completely different film. Right. So yeah, I think I need to go dig out my shitty old DVD and watch that instead.
I think also, I feel like Sadako, sorry, this is a tangent, but Sadako from The Ring, she went like the route of Freddy Krueger. Yeah. As in, she wasn't there to be feared anymore. She became a mascot of Japan in a way.
Yeah, she'd show up at baseball games.
She pitches the first ball. I think now she has a bloody YouTube channel, and you have Sadako's daily life, and it's fucking ridiculous. You have these videos, like vlog-style videos of Sadako, this cursed video entity that comes out of your TV and kills you, getting a haircut.
Wow.
And it's like you have completely just ruined all mystery and fear that surrounded this character, which is what happened to Freddy. He was terrifying in the original
to maybe the third one. He's very fucking frightening.
And then he became like a fucking goofball comedy cheesy icon thing. It's like cracking jokes all the time, and it's such a shame because that initial Ring, the first time you watch that, which would have been in the 90s. 90s?
Yeah, it's like 98.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time it got to England, or it was probably early 2000s. But I remember the first time I saw that, it absolutely terrified me. And there was so much mystery surrounding it, because you follow the characters on the journey where she's trying to find out about the girl in the well, what happens, and you have the cursed video. And you follow, you're learning as the characters are learning. But now it's like fucking Sadako's pitching baseball. And getting haircuts in beauty salons. There's no mystery surrounding her anymore.
That could have been part of it. It's kind of been tainted. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I think I liked it looking murky and like kind of hiding some of the details, and it just was too clean for me this time around. You know, the first time I watched that film when I was a teenager, for some absolutely ridiculous reason, I watched it with my mum. It was just me and my mum watching that film. And my mum hates horror films. Like, she closes her eyes through all of them. But for some reason, we fucking watched Ringu. And when the film... This is not a lie. When the film finished, the phone rang.
Beautiful.
And both of us sat there too scared to answer it. I had a lot of weird experiences with Ring. When I read the book, which I fucking loved the book as well. But when I read the chapter about the video, this is 100% not a lie. My mobile phone started ringing next to my bed, and it was like 2 a.m. And I picked it up, and it was just like static, like, and I did not sleep that night.
You wouldn't.
Isn't that
I'm
insane?
surprised you didn't like burn your book or something.
I was very, very upset by that.
But that's kind of the charm of what we saw in the 90s and growing. I mean, for us at least in the 90s, before the internet had characterized and made these caricatures of all these horror icons that we love so much, there was still that fear and mystery surrounding them that did terrify us. And
like you said as well, like those original Ju-on films, like the shot on video originals are terrifying. Those films, they still scare the shit out of me.
Well, I mean, that little boy is not pitching any baseball games, is he? Little kid in his underpants.
As soon as he does that, then it's not scary anymore. Okay, so yeah, that was quite a tangent. So yes, he's made mainstream stuff like that film. He also made a film called Hell Girl in 2019, which is quite a big budget horror. I think it's based on a manga. I watched it last night. It was a lot of fun in that kind of trashy sort of way.
Oh, hang on. Yes, Jikoku Shoujo. Yeah, I have seen this.
I enjoyed that a lot, but it's a silly, trashy, like J-horror sort of film.
Yeah.
But also what I liked about even these mainstream films that he makes, he still slips in his little obsessions. So he's very much... There's certain things that he loves. Like tentacly, wormy things floating around, crows flying around the sky, UFOs sort of stuff. Like, he still manages to slide that into all of his films, which I really enjoy. Another really crazy, very different kind of thing he made a film that was very recently, last year. It was part of, the Roman Porno Now series?
Like recently made Roman porno.
Yeah, like it's kind of like a revival of the Roman porno. So probably the most famous one is Anti-Porno by Shion Sono. But yeah, he made one last year called Safe Word. That's the English title, but the Japanese title is Aishiteru. But that film is great. It's basically like a kind of fake documentary, but it's a bit like haphazard, the fake documentary stuff. But it's following a woman who she's like a idol singer, and then she gets kind of recruited into an S&M club.
Love it.
And it's really funny, but also quite emotional.
Right.
And I've never seen anything like this before. The emotional peak of the film involves a woman pissing in another woman's mouth. But it's like a genuinely emotionally affecting moment.
Oh, brilliant.
So, pretty amazing.
Oh.
And another film to mention, just to talk about his diversity, Grotesque, which we've both seen, which is an absolutely disgusting, violent torture porn kind of thing, but it still has his kind of ridiculousness in it as well, like heads flying off and
it's very silly
madness. So with all of these films and like getting ready for this podcast as well, I think I've had the same realization that seemingly everyone has had in the last year. Not everyone in the world, but everyone who's into films and Japanese films, which is that Shiraishi is not just the guy that made Noroi, which was a great film. He's actually one of the most important Japanese horror filmmakers probably of all time. So I've always liked him a lot and considered him a guy that made a couple of great films and a lot of trash, but from seeing his films, and especially that Senritsu Kaiki File films, I've started to see like the consistency in what he does and the themes that he gets into, and I've realized that he's a fucking genius.
He's a genius.
And so then let's get on to one of the most insane things that he's ever, maybe the most fucking crazy thing he's ever made,
and completely different to everything we have spoken about in this episode so far.
So we're going to talk about the film. As I said, it's got lots of titles. Cho Akunin, and it's also known as Villain, but there's another Japanese film called Villain, so let's refer to it by its other English title, which is Hypervillain. Yeah. The Japanese title kind of translates to that, right? It's like ultra villain or super villain. So just before we get into the story, just a few little quick things about this film. I don't have too much background information on this, but Jake gave me some information, and I also bought, which you can see over there, Guy, a big stack of chirashis, so some flyers. So I wanted to get the flyer for this because last episode you talked about Nighty Night, and all your information came from a chirashi, or most of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I've got to get one for this because I can find nothing. Went on to Merukari to try and find it. The only one I could find was a lot of like 40 chirashis, which it was one of.
Brilliant.
But then, ordering them, I found out something kind of interesting about the other trashies in there. So, this film, Hypervillain, was released as part of the Seishun Eichi series. I had never heard of this before. But this series has 42 films in it. And I realized, sort of from getting this information from Jake and then looking at the chirashis, the flyers that I ordered, all of those flyers are the flyers for this series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just a random lot.
No.
Everything is connected.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. But most of the other films in this series are not like Hypervillain.
Okay.
At all. So all of the other ones, and you can look at the flyers, and also Jake told me this too, they're all kind of quirky relationship, dramas, a little bit erotic, but nothing too much, right?
So what was the rules or the guidelines for this series?
I have no idea. I can't give you any more information other than that title, but they were basically all produced on tiny budgets and shown for about a week at a cinema at a mini theater in Tokyo called Pore Pore Higashi Nakano. Do you know that place?
No.
I looked it up. It looks pretty cool. We should check it out next time we're there. In English, it's spelled like pole.
Pole.
Yeah, pole. But yeah, it's definitely safe to say that Shiraishi's movie is not the typical entry in this series.
Oh, okay.
It looks absolutely nothing like any of the other films in that, but I guess it could be in a very, very, very fucked up way described as a relationship drama.
Is that what the other films are like then?
I guess so, yeah, based on what I saw from that stack of flyers there.
It's a bit of a stretch, Dave.
A bit of a stretch, but, there's some romantic moments in this film. But this film is utterly, utterly fucked. So fucked in that I actually was not sure whether we should do it just because we have what we have to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to quote from the Shiraishi, so they talk about Shiraishi, and I thought there's a really accurate quote about him. In the flyer on the back, it says, when people hear the name Koji Shiraishi, they think horror, but he loves many different genres. He nails suspense, understands emotions and humor, and tells jokes with a sense of seriousness and reality. He is a director with extraordinary ability. So I thought that idea of emotions and humor and like telling jokes with a sense of seriousness and reality is kind of the perfect definition of what this film is.
Yes.
Because a lot of the reviews of this on Letterboxd are just like, this is a bleak, grim film. And I'm like, did we watch the same film?
I was creasing up a little bit.
Yeah, because this film is a very uncomfortably humorous film. It is disgusting.
If you can laugh within the subject matter.
But it is an absurd film.
Yes, but I can totally understand how some people will not be able to muster up a giggle because they're so horrified by what they're seeing on screen.
Yeah.
I can totally understand that. I, however, was creasing right up.
It's an incredibly uncomfortable watch, this film.
Yeah.
All right. Should we get into the film?
I think we better.
Yeah.
Well, we start in classic Shiraishi fashion of a handheld camera being operated by a man in an apartment. Now, first thing I thought, cool fucking sunglasses. I was like, who is this fashionable man? He has got some weird, ridiculous, probably straight out of the Matrix 90s fashion glasses.
They look like LaForge from Star Trek.
Oh, that's probably a better,
the, like, single, line of sunglasses.
Didn't one of the X-Men have one of them as well? Cyclops?
It's very Cyclops-esque.
So, like, a one-frame thing that strips across the eye line, you know?
Yeah.
And he's talking to the camera, and he has apparently raped 106 women. And he's talking about how he has raped all of these women. The first thing that I thought, because I just could not shake it, it was immediately brought to my attention, was the fact that he speaks in an Osakan accent.
Yeah, that was an interesting addition to this.
Very heavy Osakan accent. So I saw this initial opening monologue, and I was like, hang on, have we got this anti-superhero who's just going to go around the streets of Osaka raping people? And if so, that would be fucking awesome. Because I know because I want to see an insane film shot in the streets of Osaka, which is where we live. But it didn't seem to be filmed in Osaka.
No, I think the reason he speaks in that dialect in the Kansai band, so this actor is played by Shohei Uno, who is the lead from Occult.
Right.
And when Shiraishi makes films, he basically gets people to play a version of themselves.
Right.
In fact, the character's name, which we don't find out till much later, is basically the actor's name.
I noticed that in the credits.
And he's from Osaka.
Right.
So I guess he just really leans quite heavily into the Osaka
almost
bed.
In a comical state. It's very, amped up. So he's talking about how he's raped all these women, and he pans the camera around. And there's a girl in there tied up, bound and gagged.
Yeah, so he's broken into her apartment. That's so we realize that he's in this woman's apartment. Did you recognize the actress playing this role?
No.
So I didn't know her, but she is very well known. So this actress is one single name, Shijimi.
Shijimi, okay.
So she is a famous AV actress. And she's also in a lot of V cinema and kind of softcore sort of stuff. I didn't recognize her, but she's very good in this film. It's a small role, but she's really good.
The opening girl, isn't she?
Yeah. So basically, he's got this girl. She's got tape over her mouth, and he gives her 3 choices. It's very fucked. And also, I really want to stress how ridiculous this villain character is. So he's got the sunglasses, as you said. He's got a mustache. His head's shaved. He's in a fucking ridiculous outfit, like yellow gloves, yellow top, a fluffy kind of jacket. So he looks absurd, but everything, and the way he talks is in this absurd Osaka bend, but everything that he's doing is so dark and so fucked. But yeah, he's holding her by the neck, and he gives her 3 options at this point.
At this point, I was like, oh man, this is already grim.
Yeah, very grim. Do you remember the three options?
It was either
Number one,
he's going to rape her, and then
follow
leave.
orders, get raped.
So she can get raped without kicking up a fuss, and then he'll go. Number 2, he's going to rape her and then bash her head in with this hammer that he keeps attached to his belt. Number 3, he'll do it in the opposite order. He'll bash her head in and then rape her.
This is within the first few minutes.
And I was like, holy fuck, this is grim.
Yeah.
This is fucking horrible.
Yeah, it's grim as fuck. But then you have this guy who's just giving this like cartoon performance, but kind of amazing as well.
Yeah.
But like, oh my god, it's nuts.
And so she agrees, obviously, to the first option. He kind of starts being nice to her.
Yeah, he does this a lot through this, where he's like, "Oh, I've fallen in love with you. I only rape women that I'm crazy about," and just it's horrible stuff.
Yeah, and one of the things that I found interesting. So he basically takes her to the bed. So she agrees that he's going to rape her and then leave. So she's like, right, I'll just fucking get through this and then I can survive the night. And he kind of takes her to the bed, and he's like, her name's Miwa, right? And he's like, Miwa, be careful, watch where you're stepping, come to the bed. It's like he's being so nice to her, but it's like a real awful, like, full sense of security, because he snaps back and forth between insane characters.
Yeah, his the way that he goes back and forth is like a constant thing through this, and it's very unsettling.
Yeah. And he's so nice to her up until a certain point where she feels comfortable enough to ask him to wear a condom, to which point he beats the fucking shit out of her.
There's also, in this scene, we see one of his, like, weird, what do you call it? Weird, I don't want to say quirk, because it sounds too nice. Weird obsessions.
Right.
Where he asks to smell her armpits.
Right.
And so he's armpit obsessed, this character, and he's like, I don't like the way your sweat smells, but I'll let it go. So this is like a weird like hang up for him, like the smell of sweat and armpits. But yeah, as you said, it gets like quite violent as she wants him to wear a condom. And he's also rambling about animals, and he's like, oh, when females get scared, they get turned on, and I'm a male animal, and that this is just what we're programmed to do. It's very upsetting stuff.
Not only does he beat her for her asking him to wear a condom, he basically has the intention of impregnating her. So he's like, you're gonna have my fucking baby. And then he starts to rape her. And it was at this point where I realized this has all been one take. From the start of the movie, his like long introduction and monologue to him kind of bargaining with her, giving her the 3 choices to, luring her to the bed, talking to her, like you said, talking about the armpits of the animals, and then smashing her, and then fucking... This has all been, I'm pretty sure, just one take.
I think so, yeah.
Which was quite incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to know more about the way Shiraishi makes his films, because he's actually written a book about making fake documentaries, so I'd love to read that. But
because obviously, I mean, as far as we could tell,
it's just the two of them.
It's just two of them in a room with one single camera.
It's honestly pretty amazing, and they're both incredible in this. So I wonder, like, I guess they must block it out with Shiraishi there, do all the rehearsals, but it is the actor holding the camera at the start, right? Yeah.
I mean, there are certain times where there are cuts within a scene.
Well, it kind of changes, right? Once because we're going to see something happen later on, but at this point, it's like found footage, essentially, right?
I was very impressed that they managed to do such a long take with the director seemingly not even in the room.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. During this horrible scene, so he starts raping her as he's doing it. It's very incredibly grim, this shot as well. But she starts calling him a villain in this point. So this is when he kind of takes this as his
superhero name.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's basically like he sees it as like a superhero name. He thinks it's really cool to have this name. He's like, yeah, I am. I'm a villain. He finishes, collapses on her. Yeah, she's calling him evil. He hits her around a bit more, but he gets extremely angry at this point, right?
Yeah,
because of what she's called him after.
She called him like a scumbag or something.
She says he's a scumbag, and he basically tells her that she's now just chosen number 2.
Yeah. And what did he do?
Well, then he pulls out his mallet and bashes her to death. It's just grim. It's just extremely grim. There's no CGI blood or anything like that. It's very raw and gross.
Off camera,
but it feels quite real. Yeah. So then he collects the camera up from its spot. He's kind of getting a bit like apologetic, not quite apologetic, but a bit like making excuses at this point, right? Where he's like, oh, I don't normally I haven't bashed that many, which is another kind of thing that keeps appearing throughout this as well. And he's really pissed off at her for her saying that and making him angry. But he's also kind of stoked with himself. He's like, oh, that's rape number 107. It's all done in the bag kind of thing. And he starts talking about his 108th victim. So then he turns the camera off and we cut to our next scene where we are in a maid bar. Shot with a hidden camera.
Love it.
On the table. So it's like he's clearly got it in a bag. You can sort of see the outside of the bag. We don't see him, but we hear him talking and kind of occasionally like leaning into the camera. He's talking about how he's really nervous being at a maid bar. And he asks for a girl to come over. And yeah, he's clearly very obsessed with this girl already.
Oh, yeah.
He's talking about how cute she is. She pours him a drink, and she actually even comments on the Osaka accent, right, in this part. He mentions that she has a strong scent, which again is going to be coming back later as well.
Yep.
And she kind of panics and apologizes about it, but he's like, no, don't worry about it. And then we do a classic magic spell on the drink.
おいしくおいしくおいしくなれ萌え萌え
I feel like when I was thinking about we're going to do this episode, I was like, we need to go on to a maid bar and maid cafe tangent because they're just fucking ridiculous. I've only ever been to a maid cafe once, and that was the second time I came to Japan. So it was 10 years ago, and I was with a mate. We were in Akibahara, which is like the otaku district.
I wonder if we went to the same place.
The guy I was with, because he was really into anime and manga and like that kind of like otaku culture. I was not, but it was like, right, fuck it, while we're in Japan, you know, we gotta do the checklist.
Yeah.
And we've been walking around for fucking hours into all these bloody toy shops and manga shops, and I had enough, and he was like, let's go to a maid cafe. I was like, fine, as long as we can sit down. We flagged down this maid on a street, well, like, take us to your cafe, and it was a lot of stuff I didn't understand. I couldn't speak any Japanese at that point. But I remember there was, you know, some games that we played together, and there was a stage, and every now and again the maids would go up onto the stage and sing a song, and we would play like rock, scissors, paper together, that kind of shit. But the best thing that happened was actually nothing to do with the maids themselves. There was a homeless man in the maid cafe. And he had clearly probably just spent all of his rent money on going to maid cafes. He was a very, very roughly kept looking homeless man. Yet he had his own like maid cafe accessories. So you'll see these girls singing and dancing with these light sticks the same kind of sticks that you would see someone guide an airplane into docking with, you know. And so whenever these girls would get up onto the stage and start singing, he would stand in front of the stage with his own light sticks and start dancing, and he knew the exact routine. The exact routine.
Wow.
And that was a lot more kind of that memory lasted a lot longer than the maids themselves.
Oh god, my story is not as good as that, but like I probably went around the same time that you would have gone. I think it was 10 years ago as well.
Were you also a homeless man?
That was me, mate. That was me. I was into it. Yeah. I spent all my money on maids, so I couldn't pay for my ticket home back to Australia. No, I went to one as well, also in Akihabara. And again, like, yeah, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Check it out. Do it once. And the main thing I remember going there was the maid. You kind of get your own maid who serves you at the table, right? And the maid that was our table's maid was not Japanese. She was, like, European.
Oh, no.
I can't remember if she was, like, I think she was French, maybe.
Right.
And there was just something a bit...
Sounds a bit awkward.
Awkward, yeah. So, like, she came over and she's like, oh, do you speak English? And we're like, yeah. And then it was just, like, this awkward, like, in English. And then she's like, oh, so here's your drink. So, I have to do, like, a spell to bless it now. This, like, French accent. Like, and she's, like, doing this, like, spell where she's like, love, making us do, like, a love symbol over the drink. And we're just... all sort of like looking down, like, oh god, this is awkward.
That sounds bad. That sounds bad, not gonna lie.
But then at the end as well, the other thing I remember, they made all the maids line up, and we had to choose a maid to get a photo with, and they took like a Polaroid. But I remember feeling just really bad, where I'm like, oh, I don't want to, you know, like you just feel bad having to choose someone, right? You're gonna hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah. Oh man,
I didn't choose the French one who was.
Did she not make your tea delicious enough?
Well, yeah,
because that's it. They put the spell on the tea to make it more delicious,
which is what happens in Hyperville. Yes. And so, yes, this maid that's come to the table, she does a cuteness beam on the drink, and she makes the villain guy, join in, and it's sort of like it's like a love heart symbol, spraying into the drink. But yeah, she also introduces herself. Her name's Mimu-chan, and yeah, the villain, he starts to ask a few weird questions. He talks about gives the situation of if he was a criminal, what would she do? And she says that she would still be his master. That's
another point to mention. When you go to these maid cafes, you are the master. They call you master. It's
just very creepy.
You probably get all those like gross men who have a real fucking like huge self-esteem, who go there and just want to like dominate the young girls working there. It's like, call me master. It's fucking gross. It's such a weird culture of Japan. And he says, if I was a criminal, what would you do? She'd be like, well, you'd still be my master. And you know, he's fucking probably creaming under the table.
Oh, grim. But yeah, she walks off and he's talking to the camera about how horny he is at this point. And then he calls over another maid.
Yes.
And I'm very excited to talk about this bit, because I had this crazy realization. So I've been watching all these Shiraishi films, and it hit me last night, I think.
Right.
I was watching one of the Kaiki File films, and then it just hit me, like, this maid that comes over after Mimu, the main maid, so the second maid that comes over, is played by Chika Kuboyama,
right?
Who is one of the leads of that series that I talked about before. And she is awesome. She's such a great actress. She's so good in that series. So that kind of added this extra layer to this scene, and she's really good in this one small little bit that she's in. I really like her performance here, even though it's only this one shot. But
because when he was talking to Mimu-chan, he's very polite. He does the magic spell, and he does make a comment on her saying, like, you know, you have quite a strong body odor, but he also says, no, I like that, that's fine. Like, I'm just you know, as a kind of like passing comment. But he's a very like pleasant customer. And he talks to his own little hidden camera, and he's like, she's so cute, you know, I think I love her. But then we get another one of his insane sudden changes with this co-worker of Mimu-chan's. But it starts by talking about Mimu-chan. It's like, hey, have you told her that she kind of stinks? Yeah. Seemingly in a negative way. And the other maid, I didn't catch her name. She's like, no, no, I haven't. It's like, well, are you gonna? And she's like, no, we can't really comment on that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, he just starts belittling this other maid. And he's like, you're a bunch of fucking bitches, aren't you? And then first he starts saying, like, I saw you laughing back there. And she's like, no, we didn't. He's like, yeah, you were fucking laughing. Don't lie to me, you fucking cunt. I bet your fucking pants are soaking wet. I bet you're cream in your pants. And it's so horrible because it goes on and on. But because, of course, maid cafe culture, he is the master. She just sits there and takes this belittlement.
Yeah, her performance is just so real.
Yes.
Like, her reactions to what he's saying... There was almost a moment where I was watching the scene and I'm like, is this just a real thing?
It feels real.
It feels so fucking real.
I mean, obviously not to this horrendous extent, but the amount of times I have seen some old Japanese osan cunt just belittle a female employee, like at a convenience store or at a cafe or anywhere, at a restaurant, izakaya, and they just take it because the customer is God, essentially, in here. And she just sits there and receives all kinds of harassment, from this guy, and it's horrible. And then he snaps back again.
Yeah, he's like, all right, on your way, and I want a piece of cake. Oh, yeah. Send Mimu back with the cake.
Oh, make sure Mimu delivers my cake.
Yeah. Completely change his personality back. Both of them are great. Both fantastic performances here.
I really liked that scene. It was horrendous, but it was so simple. It was just one static shot, and we never even see the guy. We just saw the girls' faces and their reactions to what he was saying. It was beautifully done.
Yeah, really great stuff. So that's it for the maid cafe. He puts his hand over the camera and says, we're going to go take a look at Mimu's private life. Oh, God.
He's smitten.
So we see him on the floor. It's like a shot level with the floor. And we don't know where he is yet. He's filming himself. And then we realize, oh, fuck, he's in Mimu's apartment. And we hear someone coming in and talking on the phone. And, of course, it's Mimu. She comes into the apartment, so he's like fucking hiding like under a bed, filming her. It's so creepy. So she's on the phone. She's talking to, I guess, a sibling about her parents. She's talking about not having a boyfriend and working at a maid cafe. And then she hangs up the phone and starts talking about how sick of it all she is. How she wants a boyfriend. She wants sex. And she starts stripping off her maid clothes and starts masturbating. And he's just filming all of this. And yeah, she gets up, and I was quite surprised as well that we see a full bush shot here. There's no pixelation, was there?
No, there wasn't.
That was really surprising.
Which also makes me remember, I was very surprised that they beeped out the word pussy in this.
I was going to mention that as well. So there's a lot of beeping swear word, or kind of the closest you can get to a swear word in Japanese. But that is a trope of his films as well. I guess it's part of the fake documentary thing. So all of his films, they bleep out like bad language. It's kind of weird. That's weird.
Why would that be? Because it takes away the realness from it.
Yeah, but then what this becomes after, it kind of makes more sense, right? Because this is not a found footage film, as we find out as we move on, which is a great fucking twist as well. But anyway, so he's watching her doing all of this, and then she goes off to the shower, and he comes out and he's like breathing in armpit smell, and
which is wafting through the apartment.
He's breathing it in. He's outside the shower, like, listening to her shower, And she comes out for a moment. He sort of hides around the corner. He's just like, she's the one. She's the one. And then he mentions that not only is she the 108th victim of his, it's also his 10th anniversary of being a rapist, which is that's a nice thing to celebrate.
Sure.
And he's also like, he's not going to do it now. He's going to wait for the right time when it's more romantic. And off he goes, leaves the apartment. And then he's outside and he's talking to the camera. And this is when the film is like, wait, what are we seeing now?
Yeah.
So he starts talking to the camera about his 10th anniversary. And he's like, so do you want to film it? It's going to be a big scoop. And this is amazing shot. So he's like, you can shoot DV, an interview? How about it? Let's do it. And then he points at the camera.
Yeah.
But it's a shot. The shot just holds for ages of him sort of smiling and pointing to the camera. And then awkwardly having to turn it off because he's filming it himself and it's not edited. And I just thought that was
a very subtle bit of genius in there.
It's just, it sums up this film where it's like very darkly funny in an absolutely disgusting way. So then we realize we're seeing something kind of different to what we thought. This is the 30-minute mark of the film. So we've had 30 minutes of this found footage. Then we realize we're actually watching someone else watching this. So it pulls out from a TV and we're in an office and we've got a guy filming and talking to this younger woman. Her name's Yaiko, and we realize that they're documentary filmmakers. So the person behind the camera, who we do see quite a lot in this, is
that's the director,
Koji Shiraishi, playing Koji Shiraishi. He's just Koji Shiraishi, but I think it's like the spelling's like a little bit different.
Sure.
He's talking to this woman who's an interviewer and saying he thought that she'd be interested in this because she's really interested in rape stories.
Yeah.
So she covers this kind of thing a lot. She asked the very good question, shouldn't we report this to the police? Koji Shiraishi's like, nah, if we do that, they'll arrest him and we won't be able to release this on DVD.
They want to include the DVD in with their magazine, right? It's like some weird
that's
magazine
right.
with I don't know if that is still a thing, but I remember back in the day, you buy a magazine, there was a DVD included. It's that kind of that 90s magazine type stuff.
I'm sure that's still a thing.
I hope it is.
I
remember when VHS tapes used to be included.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow.
I remember buying magazines with VHS tapes included.
I've never experienced that before, but I do remember like the DVDs or CDs and stuff like that. But yes, Yaiko, despite her reservations, agrees to do this. So this crew for this magazine, who released a DVD along with it, like a crime, I guess, magazine, are gonna go and interview this demented sunglasses wearing rapist.
Yep.
So then this is when the style of the film kind of changes. So it's no longer found footage. We're now watching a documentary, essentially, which I really liked. It's like this, you think it's this found footage thing of this rapist character, and then it becomes a new kind of thing, which is really cool.
It's a nice little twist midway through.
Yeah, and it's so far into the film as well, which made it quite shocking to the first time I watched it. I'm like, whoa, that's quite a shift.
So all of a sudden, they're outside, and they're at the meeting place where they're going to meet the hypervillain, and he's kind of just there, sitting on a bench. It's afternoon-ish, broad daylight. He's there in his cool little sunglasses and his get-up, hammer attached to the belt.
Yeah.
And they approach him. And he has this, like, ridiculous kind of self-introduction for the camera. He's like, hey, I'm the hypervillain. Nice to meet you.
And it instantly gets very full-on as well, which, again, like you said before, the way he shifts, it's... in this scene is fantastic. So
I mean, if you were because essentially the guy operating the camera is the boss, right? He's the director, the cameraman of this magazine, and he has essentially set up this young girl to meet with a serial rapist. You wouldn't do that. No, that would be the opposite of what you would.
It's a terrible idea.
Who's thought that was a good idea? So, and of course, the hypervillain sees the young girl, and what does he say?
Basically asks her, do you want to get fucked?
Yeah.
Straight away. But then I also love that he then turns to Shiraishi, who's like, whoa, what's going on? He's like, what about you? Do you want to get raped?
Yeah.
To the cameraman. Yeah. But then he's laughing. It's just a prank. So it's a lot of this back and forth of you just don't know what he's going to do next. It's kind of, it's both frightening and oddly funny as well.
Oh no, but it's terrifying.
It's terrifying, but it's also, it's just so over the top and outrageous. And,
but he completely dominates them.
Yeah.
They're just like, I don't know how to handle this. But he's so full on, he completely dominates them.
I do really like Shiraishi appears in his films quite a lot, usually as the cameraman, because he is actually filming it. But he often plays this sort of pathetic, cucked kind of character. And this is the best example of it, I would say.
I mean, I knew it was the director. Just you see him very briefly in the office before they meet with the hypervillain. I'm like, oh, there he is. But he is so pathetic in this movie. Like, insanely pathetic, where you think, like, come on, mate, you can do a bit better than this, can't you?
It's truly pathetic. But they sit down and Yaiko starts asking him a few questions. She asks about his rapist lifestyle. And we get some very important information here. And this is the worst thing in the film. It's horrible. But she asks about his first victim. He tells this very upsetting story about raping a elementary school girl. It's just horrible. I don't really want to go into the details of it, but he basically talks about raping this girl, and then they made a pinky promise that she wouldn't talk about it, and she went home. And then he reveals something that is quite a shock to everyone, that was 10 years ago today, and he says the 108th rape is going to happen today, and points over to an apartment behind him and says, that's Mimu's apartment. She's going to be home early today. Let's go and film the rape.
Fucking hell. He's like, well, I'm raping her. I want you to film it. And the girl, too, narrate it. Narrate his rape.
The narration stuff is the most insane thing in this. But
of course, the director, he's like, well, we can't do that. At first, I'm like, yeah, of course, because that would make you accomplices to rape. But that's not the reason that he gives. He says we can't publish that in the magazine. To which point the hypervillain goes absolutely fucking nuts. He's like, I don't give two shits about your fucking magazine. He beats the shit out of the cameraman. He busts out his hammer, starts beating him with the hammer, and he's essentially on the verge of killing him. He's like, this is bigger than your fucking magazine. This is my 100th, my 10-year anniversary.
God.
And he's got his hammer held up high. He's about to bash this guy's brains in when the female reporter says, all right, we'll do it.
So they've agreed to do it. They've been forced into it under the threat of his hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So he takes him to Mimu's apartment.
Also, as he's going over, I love some of the details here. So right after we've had him beating the shit out of Shiraishi, threatening to kill him, he then just flips back to nice guy mode.
Yeah.
And he's like, I really like the aura of you guys. Yeah, you guys are great. And then he also starts talking about, which was a really great detail, he's talking about why he dresses like this. And he's like, yeah, I wear the sunglasses because people will think I'm just some cosplay cunt. And they're never going to suspect me of being a rapist. And then, like, someone else is coming out of an apartment. He's like, hey, what's going on? Oh, man. But yeah, they go into the apartment. He's got a copy of the key. They head in.
I loved this part because they break into Mima's apartment and they go in and he gets angry. He's like, hey, take your fucking shoes off.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It's those really, subtle things
details.
That he says.
It's great. Oh, my God. He's really violent from this point on, but again, it's like flipping between silly stuff like that to just like slapping people around.
Yeah.
So I think it might be over the shoe thing. He like slaps Yaiko in the back of the head.
Oh, he gets quite physical, doesn't he?
Yeah, but the apartment as well, it's just so pink and garish as well. The pink, horrendous apartment. But he's planning out the scene. So he's like, all right, so you wait here. I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna come out and grab her. And it's just this done in this, like, panic where he's explaining what he wants, and Yaiko and Shiraishi are clearly in a state of shock, and they're sort of going along with it, but they're hysterical. Yeah, he also says that he needs Yaiko's help to help hold her in place. And they even start discussing camera positions as well. So Shiraishi's like, oh, this place will be best for the light, so let's set up here. It's so absurd.
It is like, what the fuck am I watching?
Oh, man. I also love here the hypervillain. He's talking about his bashing incidents, because Shiraishi's like, oh, I'm really worried about you killing her. And he's like, oh, it's okay, I've only bashed and killed 6 people. It's okay. Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's only 6 out of 107.
Is this when he asked the female reporter to practice her narration?
Yes.
This scene is ridiculous.
It's amazing and ridiculous.
Like, there's no way that anyone could take this seriously.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, what we're witnessing is so insane. Like, as you said, he's broken into a girl's apartment to attack her when she comes home and rape her, and has essentially kidnapped a film crew to be accomplices to his rape. And he's like, right, you need to practice your narration. So he gets down on the bed and basically performs as if he was with and was raping Mimu and fingering Mimu.
He's like fully miming it in graphic detail.
And the female reporter is like, oh, now he's vigorously moving his fingers in and out. Oh my goodness. Like, and he gets so involved.
He's doing sound effects.
Yeah. It's so over the top. It's like he's convulsing on the bed doing that.
He switches roles as well. At some points he becomes Mimu and he's like miming her reactions.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's absurd. And like Yaiko kind of gets better as it goes, because he's getting really violent. He's like, do it properly, and slapping her around. And then at the end, like, he's like, oh, it's so disgusting. He's like holding up his mimed wet fingers. And Yaiko's talking about it, and he's just like, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's calling her a genius. He's like, that was incredible narration. That's why you get the big bucks, kind of thing. But then... So he's like congratulated Yaiko in this very over-the-top sort of way, and Shiraishi makes the terrible mistake. So he's filming all this. And because it is so absurd, he laughs at what's happening, and the hypervillain absolutely loses his fucking shit and starts beating the fuck out of Shiraishi. And oh my god, this is like so, like you talked about him being so pathetic. This is just the peak of that, right? So he pulls the camera off Shiraishi and he's filming him like sniveling, and he's like stomping on his head and just going nuts on him. And also then he reveals like, oh, actually it wasn't 6 people that I bashed, it was more like 10 to 20 people that got bashed. So he's holding the mallet out, just demanding an apology, and then Yaiko steps in and sort of begs him, just like, please don't kill Shiraishi. And then we get this like that amazing bit of like Shiraishi saying that he can do it, and he's like slapping him to get him pumped up. So the hypervillain's just slapping Shiraishi in the face, and that looks...
It looks real.
Like real slaps,
well,
right?
All of the slap, even when he was hitting the younger girl, the female reporter, he's properly slapping her on the head. And he's slapping Shiraishi, and he's like, you wins! And he's like, no, I didn't. And he's like, you wins! Do it again! And he fucking slaps him, and Shiraishi's going, oh, thank you so much!
Yeah. I love, like, the madness of this whole sequence. The moment they enter the apartment, the energy is just like buzzing with madness. It's phenomenal.
I like the way after the female narration practice scene, the hypervillain is saying like, we're here doing our best when you're just there laughing, we're doing our best here. God. And he makes Shiraishi apologize to the female reporter as well,
laughing at her rage.
And it's almost like the hypervillain and the female reporter have become like sides now. And he's like, what do you think? Do you think we should forgive him?
Yeah. But that's what I love about this as well. It's almost like a little mini Stockholm syndrome sort of thing, where both Shiraishi and Yaiko are kind of like so whipped up in this madness that they're kind of going along with it in this like crazy way. So then Mimu, she arrives. She comes in, immediately sees the camera, and the hypervillain runs up behind her, grabs her. Shiraishi turns all the lights on. The hypervillain's like, I'll bash your brains in unless you chill out. So Mimu gets dragged over to a chair in the kitchen, and Yaiko's also like holding her down as well. So she's like fully an accomplice now, and just trying to calm her down. And they go to tape her mouth up, but Mimu talks about how she's got. Again,
I was like, wait, what? This
is
really
good.
threw me off.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much absurdity in this, but she talks about how she has a panic disorder because her dad put her in a pro wrestling hold when she was a kid, so she doesn't want to be taped down.
I really...
so
I was
insane.
like, wait, what? I wrote in my notes like something about pro wrestling.
Yeah.
What the fuck is
It's
going?
wild. And yeah, the hypervillain agrees, like, all right, okay, I won't tape you down. Yeah, he starts explaining the situation to her, that he's in love with her. He talks about how cute she is. He tells her about how he watched her masturbating. He tells her about her strong armpit body odor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, how awkward was this? He's like, this whole room stinks of your armpits. Isn't that right, Yaiko? And Yaiko's like, yeah. And then and Shiraishi in the camera's like, nods. It's like, yeah, it's true.
Oh, but not only that, her earwax. He talks about her earwax,
yeah.
right? And he talks about the difference, like, normally earwax should be dry, your earwax is wet and bitter. And he kind of, she's tied down. He goes over to her ear and scoops out some of her earwax. Yeah. And he's like, look, taste it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, it's bitter.
Yeah, bitter, yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? But then...
And then he eats it as well.
But he turns strangely nice to her because he's telling her all this information. He's like, look, you should know. You have this insanely strong body odor. Has no one ever told you that? And she's like, no. And he's like, here, use this. And he busts out the deodorant.
Yeah. He's got like a special deodorant.
Yeah.
Right? And explains how to use it.
And keeping in mind, he's there to rape her.
Yeah.
But he's like, use this and everything will be okay.
Yeah. But that's what makes this scene so, like, kind of disarming, because at least for me when I was watching, I kept forgetting that he was there to rape her.
Yeah.
Because he's being so kind.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh no, he's a rapist lunatic.
Yeah.
It's such a... It's a mind fuck, this whole sequence. But he brings her over to the bed, explains that it's his special 10th anniversary, and Mimu kind of, she's taking it quite well.
Yeah.
And this is where the film starts to shift. And this is actually why I was like, I want to do this film. Because I think it is become something truly, truly insane. I mean, it's already insane, but then it takes another step at this point.
Yeah.
So again, he gives his options to her, but now there's four. There's four. So he's got friendly sex, violent sex, rape and bash, or bash then rape.
We have consentive sex
friendly sex now.
So I was watching this and I was thinking, so now we have this extra option, consentive sex. So it wouldn't be a rape if she consented. So I was thinking, so the reporters, they wouldn't be accomplices to a rape.
Although they're still breaking into it.
I mean, it's still pretty intense, but I was thinking, is that how the story is going to play out?
Right.
Because there's this new angle, this new option that he's introduced.
Sure. But not quite, in a way, but not quite.
But she chooses the first one.
Yeah, she chooses number one, friendly sex, and he says that he's not going to wear a condom, but she's fine about that. But she's more worried about something else. She tells him that she's a virgin, and the hypervillain is very fucking excited about this because he's a big, massive pervert. He says that it's a miracle and that she's the woman of his dreams, and he's hugging her, so excited he's found the one. And then she says, please don't call me Mimu anymore. Mimu is my maid name. My real name is Mayumi Tsukahashi, which is the actress's name as well. She's not in much else. I can't really find much about her.
Right.
She's very good in this, though.
Oh, she's great.
Excellent performance. yeah, the hypervillain agrees. Yep, sure, I'll call you Mayumi. And then she asks for his name.
And that struck a chord, didn't it? He was like, my heartstrings are pulling.
Yeah, it starts to get weirdly romantic from this point. So he takes off his ridiculous glasses. Yeah. And this is the first point where I'm like, oh, it's that actor.
Right.
Because I didn't recognize him with the glasses on. But he introduces himself. He's Shohei Ino.
Right.
Ino. His real name is, the actor's name is Shohei Uno.
Right, yeah. I saw the credits. All the cast members, like their character names are like a variation of their real names. But him taking off his glasses, that's the first time we see his eyes and his facial expression. And it like really humanizes him, doesn't it?
It's really... God, this is a fucking weird film.
Yeah, and then they share like a really passionate kiss.
Yeah, it starts getting really passionate, romantic, hypervillain or Shohei.
Yeah.
We can probably... Should we change how we call him now that he's taken his glasses off?
Oh, yeah. And then the female reporter comes in. She starts narrating. She starts asking the questions. And she asks, was it Mayumi? She's like, how was it? How was the kiss? And she says, I've never been so happy in my life. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Insane. Yeah, and her narration, so the Yaiko's narration that she's doing, it's outrageous. Like, it's like extremely poetic. It's like things about tongues converging and just really over the top.
Lots of armpit sniffing.
Yeah. Shohei starts stripping her off. He's talking about how he's raped 107 women, but now he wants to explore the depths of Mayumi's emotions. And yeah, as you said, he's like sniffing her armpits, and he keeps doing this. He kind of has these moments of madness where he just starts sniffing her armpits like a lunatic.
I mean, you can't take it seriously.
No, it's so insane. It's nuts. It's completely crazy. And yeah, he strips her off. He lays her down and then instantly goes in for the armpits again. And the narration is like, he's lovingly inhaling her odor. And yeah, takes her panties off, starts finger banging her. And then we get him holding up the wet fingers to the camera like he mimed before, looking absolutely delighted. And yeah, they start going for it. They start doing it. And then Yaiko, like the camera goes over to Yaiko and she holds up a note to Shiraishi. Yeah. And she's like, right now, we can do this. Let's kill him. Yeah. And Shohei yells at Shiraishi for slacking off. He's not filming it properly. And while that happens, Yaiko grabs his big fucking mallet hammer and starts whacking the hypervillain Shohei on the head, attacking him, going crazy.
And all of a sudden, she snaps and she says to Shiraishi, she's like, keep filming, motherfucker!
Yeah,
I'm like, whoa! She's been really, really passive this whole time.
It's a big switch. Yeah. So we know that there's something else going on here, right? Yaiko's smashing him over the head and she starts asking him, do you remember who I am? And she reveals that she was his first victim, that elementary school girl that he talked about. So Shohei, all beaten up and fucked up with that hammer. He's trying to protect Mayumi, but Yaiko just keeps beating him again and again.
So that's why when we were first introduced to these characters, Shiraishi's character was saying, you love the rape cases, you're always taking on the rape cases. So she's taken this job as a reporter, focusing primarily on rape cases to find the man who raped her when she was elementary school student, which is fucking grim, but an awesome twist.
It's a great twist. Really yeah. But yeah, Yaiko pulls him off the bed, and he's like, "I'm not a villain anymore, thanks to Mayumi." And he's crawling around, just an absolute mess.
I gotta say, I loved the fact that he was wearing Dragon Ball Z pants.
Oh yeah, also in this, that's right, because he's like, pants are sort of tuffed down. Yeah. So he's seeing his like underwear the whole time.
Fucking Dragon Ball Z pants.
Oh god.
Yes, yeah, she's beating the shit out of him.
But then he flips the tables and he ends up managing to overpower Yaiko. Like suddenly, he sort of flips back into full hypervillain mode, and he attacks her, strangles her, and kills her.
Yeah.
Kills Yaiko.
Oh, this was the point. I was so frustrated with Shiraishi's character. Because not only... essentially he's making a movie, but still, not only is he filming his co-worker getting strangled by this hypervillain, he walks past the mallet. He literally steps over the mallet. He could have, pulled the hypervillain off. He could have beat him. He could have done anything. He could have bashed him on the head. No, he just films his co-worker get fucking strangled to death.
What a buffoon.
What a fucking idiot. And it was at that point, I was like, come on, mate, do something.
Yeah. But then he does pick up the hammer.
Way too late.
Way too late.
The fucking girl's dead. And I really wanted her to get her revenge.
Yeah.
Even though he's the anti-hero of this story. We've been following him this whole time. But learning the female reporter's story, you want her to come up on top. You want her to win. Get her revenge, because she has been searching for this guy her whole life, essentially.
That's what I was expecting, but I kind of like that it threw that, it didn't work out how you expected
there are
to go.
no thrills here.
Which is what I love about Shiraishi in his best films. You just don't know where the fuck he's going to take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shiraishi, as the cameraman, he picks up the mallet, but yeah, he's got no chance. Mayumi gets involved. She throws something at the camera, distracting Shiraishi, and she ends up getting the camera, and she films Shohei, the hypervillain, as he murders Shiraishi, throwing him around, and then he just beats him on the head with the mallet. It's fucking grim. Just a grim death for old Shiraishi. And then the hypervillain Shohei, he grabs the camera and he's filming the dead Yaiko and Shiraishi, and he's like, yep, it's all over now. But
it's not.
It's not over. Mayumi.
She's like, no, it's not finished yet. Let's continue where we left off. So she wants to finish off her first time after her partner has just murdered these two people. So he gets back on top. He positions the camera, gets back on top, and they fucking start banging away on the bed.
And the radio behind her starts playing as well, and it's just this sort of punk song playing, and the camera's shaking as it's building up.
I quite love that, because it was almost like they were reaching climax, and she, as you said, I think she knocked the radio with her hand, which flicked it on, and as they're getting more intense with their the whole frame just starts shaking as if an earthquake's about to happen, and it kind of starts to get brighter and brighter and brighter until it explodes, and then the end credits roll.
And in those end credits, it's as you said, everyone is playing essentially themselves with a slight twist on their name. And did you catch the dedication at the end?
No.
So one of the last bits of text on the screen is a Shiraishi quote, and it says, "Dedicated to all you dirty bastards out there."
Awesome.
As the last quote. So that is hypervillain.
Brilliant.
And I don't have too much else to add to this, the making of this film, but I guess the biggest question a lot of people have about this film is, why did he make this film? Because it is truly fucking insane and incredibly offensive, and just it's a fucked up film. And on the Chirashi, there is a comment on why he made it,
right? But
it's a little bit of a poetic kind of quote, right? Okay. But I love it. Okay. So I'll just read that for you. So he says, Shiraishi says, "The devil whispered to me on the Shibuya Scramble crossing." That big crossing in Shibuya, which also the fact that he mentions that was quite interesting, because that's a big part of the movie Occult as well.
Right.
So I guess maybe when he was making that, this film came into his mind, because it's the same actor as well. But anyway, the devil whispered to him when he was on the Shibuya Scramble crossing, and he whispered, "Make a movie about rape and murder, violence and sex, love, revenge for real, armpit odor, and miracles. This is a movie made by the devil. There is no need for remorse. This is divine punishment." So that's his apparent reason for making this film.
Okay.
The devil told him to
Try
do
to
it.
find logic in that, but okay.
Yeah, so, man, this is one of the craziest films I've seen in quite some time, and definitely a standout in his career of being an incredibly wild ride and amazingly obnoxious movie.
It was great. I really enjoyed it.
It is a truly
it's
excellent film.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
And despicable.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun to watch. And it completely held my attention the entire way through.
Yeah.
I love the switches through the narrative as well as the switches through the different characters. He, despite being the... he held every scene.
Yeah.
He's pretty much just talking non-stop through every scene. Even when he's interacting with other characters, it's pretty much just him talking relentlessly.
Yeah.
And he sparked so much fear and uncertainty with that character that he was such a joy to watch, despite being such an abhorrent character.
Yeah, he's really good in this film. He's a great actor. He's fantastic. Yeah. I really, really like this film a lot. And I think just the key thing for me is I genuinely don't agree with a lot of the reviews of this film that are just painting this as this bleak, depressing, dark film. And it is a reprehensible film, but you have... I think it has to be seen to understand the kind of lunacy and humor that this film has. Yeah, it's a fucking absurd film.
Absurd, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, thank you, Jake, for introducing us to
Well
this
done,
film.
Jake. Oh, and one of the things that I also noticed whilst watching the credits, so the theme song, the song that plays throughout the end credits, the two are fucking through, a band called King Brothers.
Was that King Brothers?
Yeah. I went drinking with the drummer of King Brothers not too long ago, and they play quite a lot around Osaka.
They're an Osaka band, right?
I don't know where they originate from, but I know at least the drummer is living here, and we had a drink not too long ago, and then I saw them after that.
I got invited out by one of them, but I didn't really know who they were. Like I was at Hard Rain in Umeda after a show, and this guy was doing a classic kind of rambling in English to me, and invited me out for a drink, and he's like, "I'm in a band, King Brothers."
Oh,
so that's why.
What did he look like?
He was like bleached blonde hair.
Oh yeah,
is that the guy? Yeah. He was a pretty fun. He's
a good dude. He loves horror movies as well.
Oh man, we should talk to him about this film.
Yeah. Because I mean, obviously, timeline-wise, I met him before I watched this movie, so next time I see him, I'm going to be like, hey, this fucking movie.
Yeah.
But he's very knowledgeable on horror movies. Mm-hmm. So we talked a lot of shit when we were out drinking, yeah. So that was just a nice little thing to see on the end credits. The only thing that I feel like suffered in this movie was the complete lack of blood.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I really felt that both times I watched it, where I know this was made for almost nothing, and I know it's like mostly one take kind of stuff, like longer shots, but I do wish they at least just put a little bit of blood on Shiraishi after he's been hammered is just completely devoid of any blood at all.
It. I mean, you don't need to go like full on prosthetics and everything, but even just like in between blows, just a bit of blood on the face or something.
Yeah,
because he's carrying around a fucking mallet, and you bash someone in the head once with that, and they're dead. But it was like multiple bashes in the head, again and again and again, with zero wounds, zero blood, zero nothing. So that really took away from the realness. If you will.
I think it's mostly in that last scene. Like, I think in the first scene, it doesn't matter because it's sort of off screen.
Yeah, but it is in that last scene. Yeah. If there was just a bit of blood, it doesn't need to be a lot. If there was some blood in that last scene, it would have amped up the insanity of this film tenfold.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's my biggest criticism of the film. But what I love about this film, though, is just the tonal shifts that it makes. And like I said, I decided to do it from that last scene because the fact that this film starts as a found footage film of this like fucked up rapist, it's like extremely horrible at that beginning, and then it becomes this kind of hysterical romantic story of these two characters. What a fucking piece of mania like this great. Is like just the where he takes us at the end is truly insane.
It's a bit of a throwback to Don't Stop My Crazy Love for You.
Yeah, it kind of is. Be an interesting double bill with that film.
Oh god,
that'd be a rough one.
How much do you want to watch people getting raped falling in love with their rapists?
Oh god. Well, how about the wrong-ometer for this film? So how wrong the film is, how fucked up it is, how much it shouldn't exist. I feel that this one ranks pretty highly.
It's not low.
Do you have a number in mind?
I'm thinking around a 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going higher than that. I'm going to go for a 9.
Okay.
On this one. I think it's one of the more deranged films I've seen in quite some time.
Narratively, it's completely fucked, yeah.
And can you imagine showing this to just someone with a fairly normal film diet? Like, no. Can you imagine the reaction you would get? You would lose. You would lose friends over this.
You can put on willy nilly. No, you need to be certain of the people you're sitting down to watch this with.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to watch this with friends. I'd be very uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a great time with this film, which sounds terrible, but I really enjoyed it.
Well, it's hard because like on paper it just sounds bleak beyond belief, but it is oddly engaging.
I think, I mean, I agree with what you said. Not that I've read the reviews, but you can't go into this or take this as a very bleak, like a rape movie, because it's. Even though that you're following this guy who is a rapist, it's just a ridiculous, almost in the same vein as those like ridiculous Rape Man movies. Rape Man, no one is taking those seriously. It's a man who tries to moralize immoral women by raping them. It's so ridiculous that you can't take it serious. And this is kind of in that same vein. It's just too stupid, but it is fucking great. I had a great time, and I think if you can laugh your way through such a disturbing movie, if your sense of humor is dark enough, then you can definitely enjoy this movie and probably appreciate it for more than just a rape movie. I think if you're not familiar or you've not watched a lot of disturbing movies, you would find it difficult to kind of separate the acts of rape and the humor. You just all you're seeing is the rape.
Yeah.
And there is no way that you can laugh through a rape scene, as it should be.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's a truly baffling film. I really can't believe that this exists.
Great. Well, I really want to watch more of his stuff now.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to go back through his catalogue.
He is amazing. Yeah, and I would love to do that mini episode on that film series as well. So we should talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
How about next time? What are we doing next time?
God, you know what? I have been on the fence so much. Like, 2 connected movies. 2 movies starring the same actress who I have been, for lack of better term, rabbit holing recently.
Right.
It's a terrible term.
That sounds terrible.
That sounds
been rabbit holing.
I've been rabbit holing her. And although one is probably more suitable for this podcast, I might save that for a later date. And next time I'm going to do one that has been once again making the rounds recently, and that is Fatal Termination, featuring an all-star cast cast of Hong Kong actors, and quite possibly the most irresponsible act of child endangerment ever committed to film.
Sounds great.
Fucking is. Oh my god. And I'm not going to say too much, but actually has a strange connection to a movie that we covered previously.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. I've been wanting to watch that one, so I'm down. I'm good to go.
Prepare to endanger your kids. Here we go. Fatal termination, lads.
Oh, wow. And as always, you can find us on Twitter, although we're thinking about deleting it.
Oh, yeah.
But for the moment, we're on Twitter at SMSW Podcast. And like Jake, you could send us an email.
I think you should.
Show me something wrong at gmail.com. You don't have to recommend a movie. You can just send us an email saying how much you love us.
Huh.
Or you could finally send those bowl pictures, the bowl pics.
Bowl pictures?
Bowl pics. Night Evil Soul, go back to that episode to find out what that means. Just trying to get people to go back and listen to that one.
I'm pushing the episode.
Yeah, we got to push that one more, I think. It's a good episode.
Curse of the Cat Lake or whatever it was.
I feel like there's also a lot of, show me something wrong. What would you say? Like things that we say a lot. Repeat tropes of the show. But I feel like that one we talk about Hunk of the Village and all that. So
oh yeah,
yeah, they're things that we're going to reference a lot in future episodes.
Oh my god, there's a few hunks of the village in the next episode. Don't get me wrong.
So if you want to understand the next episode, go back and listen to Night Evil Soul.
Yep.
Love the end of this episode is just promoting an old episode.
Get involved.